Good morning, guys. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. Glad to be with you this morning and every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is a cold one here in Central Florida, kind of in the mid to high 40s. So again, I'm all bundled up. I'm cold. Listen, I've only lived in warm climates, Texas and Florida, so definitely not used to the cold, but glad to be with you. It's January 3rd, 2024, of course. Happy New Year if you just rolling out of bed for the first time this year. I'm glad to be with you again. 9 a.m. We do this every morning. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Turn on notifications. Glad to be with you. Good morning, Ryan. What's going on? Let's go ahead and get started. Dow futures down 134 points this morning. The Nasdaq down 0.58%. The S&P down 0.42% at 4767. The Russell is hovering above 2000, now 1.26%. The dollar index is up. We talked about the dollar, 102.47, up about a quarter point. The VIX 1378, up 4.39% this morning. Crude oil is up 0.61% at 70.82. Gasoline futures at $2.09, up about 20, actually about 2 cents. Not even 2 cents, fraction, up 0.07%. Gold futures 2048, that's down again with the dollar, 1.18%. Silver 2328, that's down 2.83%. Copper down about 1% at $3.84. Trying to make some money, ain't that the truth, Ryan? Good morning, Olivia. Let's see, euro dollar 109.19, that's down 21 pips. Dollar yen up 103 pips this morning, 143.01. Dollar Canadian dollar up 39 pips, 133.62, 126.29. That is up on the pound dollar about 10 pips. Bitcoin taking a hit this morning, 42,755, down about 5.68%. Ethereum down about 6.62%, 22.34 this morning. Glad to be with you. The main thing here today is really the dollar and yields. So yields are up 3.98% on a 10-year basis. Let's go ahead and take a look at the S&P. What are we looking for? Well, we haven't really broken anything yet. Support right around 47.50, 47.51. You do got the 20-day moving average here at 47.40. More likely that'll be a good level to take a look at a possible bounce play. That's what we need to hold. Taking a look at NASDAQ rather quickly this morning. We're below the 20. Ooh, that needs to be looked at very carefully because we may have a little bit of a gap fill here at 16,125. This is the rollover of the contracts, mind you. So again, this is a contract rollover. Doesn't mean that it cannot fill, but again, we're watching it extremely closely for any opportunities to short. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So I want to go over really quickly. Last night I did the top 10 stocks 2024. If you haven't checked that out, make sure to do so on our YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing the 2024 kind of investment stock market strategy. That's what I'm going to be doing, kind of going over the macro. I'll do that for you guys as well. So probably get that out to you by today, worst case by the end of the week. But here's a couple of things I do want to show you. So let's take a look at the seasonal script. Remember we talked about seasonality the whole year of 2023, and we kind of pretty much got it on pat. So let's see exactly the monthly performance during election years, seasonally speaking, for the S&P 500. January, flat. February, pullback. March, going back up. April, Flatsville. May, pullback. And then summer rally. June, July, August. Then September and October gets a little weaker, obviously ahead of an election year, election event, as we know. November and December rallies towards the end of the year. That's where we are. So again, you could kind of take a look at this script, chop it flat to April. Let's expect that first quarter, maybe get some pullback, especially in mega cap. We're going to talk about that on the video coming up. I'm going to speak a little more on the seasonality, the dollar, and the macro. But again, I kind of want to give you guys a little preview, at least on in terms of the seasonality. So again, let's not expect continuation, green shoot all the way up. We'll see what we get continuing moving forward. But again, kind of want to give you everyone the script. In terms of what do we expect of the year, all election years, presidential election years, you could see 83% of the time we've had positive returns. 2022, 18%. 2016, 12%. I think they meant 2020. This is not an election year. 2022 was not a presidential year. So 2022 was a midterm election year. So again, I don't know if this is a typo, but this is from Bloomberg and B of A. 2008, 2000, 1940, and 1932. Yeah, Great Depression, 1932. Those years were the red ones. And then 1960, JFK versus Nixon, right in the heart of the Cold War, 0%. So again, 83% chance we'll have a positive year in 2024. So that's a pretty good odds, I would say. Taking a look at the yields this morning, you could see all up. Again, if we want stocks to go higher, we need yields to keep coming down. We need the dollar to keep coming down. We'll see what we get. Mortgage demand down 9.4% for the final week of 2023, despite the drop in interest rates. So that's where we are. NASDAQ futures fall for a second day, following the worst session since October. Apple declines again. We talked about Apple, that it is expensive. There is no sales growth. This is all multiple expansion. Again, I fully expect to see some profit taking. Now, again, in regards to Apple, I was watching that yesterday. Now we do have an upside gap fill, but we're below the 50. I like the 182 level, but again, here's my issue. It is a short week. So again, you have to buy time, and the volumes are not the best. Just keep that in mind. What we played yesterday was Pfizer, one of the top 10 stocks of 2024. As you know, we got as high as 30.29. We sent out 30 calls. They are in the money currently. So if you do have a runner, excellent work. We do have a gap to fill here, and that was already filled. So let's remove this drawing. We still have a gap here above at 38.28. If you want a little more detail on Pfizer, I talked about it on the top 10 stocks of 2024 video. Please take a look at it. I'm also in Citibank calls with the team. Beautiful breakout. I've been wanting to play the banks, as you know, love the banks. JPM hit a really close to new all-time highs. And JPM, we talked about that in the top 10 stocks. But again, you can see this double top breakout. We're going to get to 54, 57, possibly 55. And that's what we're looking for. We're up very nicely this morning. One of the very few bright spots in the stock market this morning, pre-market, is Citibank. And again, beautiful breakout on the hourly. That's what we're looking for. 4-hour chart breakout as well. And again, we're just looking for 54, 57, kind of retest that August 2022 highs. And then, of course, remember February, right before the SVB crisis, that's where banks took a hit. So we're starting to get a move here. That's value for me. I like Citibank. We have it for the January 19th expiry. So again, buying some time, being prudent. Let's answer some questions. Good morning. ZS. Let's see it. I want to say that's Zscaler. Okay, so when people just ask me, oh, what do you think of this? Again, I'm just going to do the charting. We're right at the 20-day moving average. Very similar to the NASDAQ, we're right below it. What do we want to do here? Are we trying to look for an investment opportunity, or we're looking for a trade? If we're looking for a trade, let's see if we can retest 194.27. Again, that is the September 22 highs. You can see it right here. If we can hold that above the 50, that might be a nice buy the dip opportunity for Zscaler. But in terms of trading it, again, you do have a gap fill here at 220, but you'd have to get above 213. That's a little tight. So I prefer to wait for right around the 192 level. And the only issue with them is that there's not a lot of options volume on them. So again, keep an eye on that 50-day. That'd probably be the best kind of support level to look for. Good morning. Next spot to buy, Palantir. This is from Christopher. Talked about that yesterday as well. And again, I have an alert at 15. There's a big gap to fill from the earnings. And again, I'm going to go ahead and just highlight it. I know my Palantir charts are all wacky, but you can see this is the gap fill that we're looking for. So again, just give me a little more weakness. January swoon, we know it's kind of flat-ish. We know the seasonality script here, 1501. If we can get there, that's sort of the bottom end of the range. We might get a little lower, right around 1350. But again, 1501, not a bad place to get started. It's been really just sideways action since June. We did have a big spike in November, but it's really just been stuck here. So what we're looking for is really just consolidation, kind of buy at the low end range, kind of trade against it on the top end range, buy calls here on the demand area, and then sell at the supply area with calls and puts. Same old deal. And if you guys want more details on Palantir, it is a top 10 stock of 2024. I went ahead and also did the technical analysis on that. Hope you guys enjoy that. Morning, Carlos. Can we chart coin? Yes, we can. Bitcoin is down this morning, so Coinbase is probably sinking, and it is. And you could see how much it is. So now we're looking for what? Support. We're looking for an opportunity here. 145, we're below the 20-day moving average. Guys, you know me, huge Mara fan, been trading that. But again, parabolic is parabolic. That thing needs to come back a little bit. So what are we looking for in terms of possible puts? 145.11 is where we currently are, the 50-day. I think that's probably your target. More likely right here, 112.05, kind of use this previous resistance July as our support. That's a big drop. But again, this is a big sore job. So the good news is that we only have, well, I can't say good news, but we have one slight gap to fill. That was the earnings gap, 79.42. I don't know if we get all the way there immediately, but I would say the 50-day, right around 119, that's a pretty good spot in terms of keeping an eye on it for either a bounce play or a target for additional weakness, meaning puts or so. I'm sure those OTM puts for that would be rather cheap, but shorting Bitcoin here is rather difficult. 42,000, where are we at? 42,725 or so. Got a gap to fill here at 39,657. We talked about that last night with the top 10 stocks of 2024. Yes, Bitcoin is not a stock, but at the end of the day, it is something to look forward to and something to look at as well. We do have this gap here at 39. I think right around 40 would be a good spot. 39,170 for a possible dip opportunity. When it comes to Bitcoin, guys, understand that DCA is your friend, dollar cost average. Why? Because it's a 24-hour market, it's extremely volatile, and you need a life. It's hard to do Bitcoin 24 hours and trade it and watch it all day. Come on. The idea is to make money to enjoy life, not just enjoy making money and making that your whole life. Let's have a little bit of balance here. Bitcoin, we know what's going to happen. Up and down, left, right, it happens. It's volatile. Welcome to it. So again, we're not going to be able to control that, but what we can is put alerts, let the market do whatever it wants, and then when an alerts hit, that's when we wake up and say, okay, what's up? What are we doing? So let's put an alert together at 39,679. That's about 2 grand below where we are currently. That's probably another 8%. Again, 8% day on Bitcoin. I mean, that happens pretty often. If we get there, then we'll get an opportunity to possibly either buy there, either do some calls on Mara and all this such. But let's get there first. Shorts. I don't know what you want to short, Ryan. Microsoft. Let's look at it. Another top 10 stock of 2024. Only the best here at Gar Capital. 366.78. That's a pretty important line. Why? That was the previous all-time high that we rejected back in July. Let's see if we retest it. Guess where that's close to? The 50-day. So all these NASDAQ names, Zscaler 2, that 50 DMA seems to be that line in the sand. We do have a couple of things that are going to be happening today. We do have the Fed meeting minutes happening today. Let's go ahead and take a look at Forex Factory team. Here we go. We have JOLTS job openings at 10 a.m. That might move the market. ISM manufacturing PMI surveys. That'll be at 10 a.m. as well. Manufacturing prices. FOMC meeting minutes, 2 p.m. That's going to give us the details of the last Federal Reserve decision. So I went ahead and broke that down here. Let's see here. Okay, reminder, tomorrow's the FOMC meetings at 2 p.m. The Fed will release their statements regarding their latest rate decision. No action. We should be looking for hints of any time frames for future cuts, if any. We also have JOLTS job number forecast of 8.85 million job openings. Any deviation might move the market higher. The number, inflation could go higher. Strong labor market, wages stay high. Fed holds off cutting. The lower the number could be a hint of weaker labor and rate cuts would be faster in coming. Like I said, now anything could happen. So it's really just a reaction more than anything. So it could be a nothing burger. It could be a market mover where we tank. Again, we just have to wait. That's really it. It's all about the reaction. There's really no such thing as good news. It's all perspective at the end of the day. Some people really think that, people losing their jobs is a positive. And some people may think people are working, that's bearish, short everything. It's all perspective. Everyone's different. Short ZS and Microsoft, Fed minutes. I mean, listen, it's a short week for me, for the team anyways. It is a Wednesday. So my main thing is that we don't need to do much. Again, we don't have to jump into everything either. But I could see this scenario where we have continuation lower. Just really the 50-day moving average is kind of the level that we're watching. So take a look at Qs on the daily. We're trading at 399.77. Again, you could see that 50 days right at 385. lines up with the previous highs, all we're doing is probably rechecking that. So I agree with you, Ryan. I think that we do get a recheck. These mega cap stocks got really expensive. There was nothing that has changed. We do have earnings coming up soon. So again, we need to be ready for that. And for after November and December, these companies better show us something. We better see some, some growth in terms of their earnings and profit and EPS. If not, we're just a little expensive, and we need a little bit of a haircut in these stocks, and we could take advantage. So I like 385 on Qs. No reason to really trade that. I'd rather just do NQ futures for my futures guys, and I would target here right around 15,914, maybe 16,137. Why not? So again, we'll talk on the futures side and see if we can go ahead and short that bad boy into earnings, especially the Nasdaq. Again, mega caps tech has really had multiple expansion. No real earnings growth. We haven't had any, reports of earnings yet. So, you know, keep that in mind. It's just the price is going up with nothing really changing. That's not usually the best, but it just happens. Fed minutes. You can get your money back on those QQQ puts now. Oh, you're talking about the one I did? Yeah, where we broke down and then we had that bid. That was back in December, I believe. Well, listen, to me, instead of doing QQQ puts because of the premiums being so expensive, short week, you got to buy time. I just do Nasdaq futures if that's the case. I have a lot more control. Again, I can move my stops, Qs. I mean, it's a crapshoot sometimes. So I like trading options on individual names. Sometimes I'll do ETFs, but when it comes to like SPY and Qs and IWM, I prefer futures. Again, I have a lot more control, Ryan. That's just me. Everyone's different. But again, yes, a few weeks ago, that's right. That 0 for 1 week that we had when I try to short Qs, I actually remember that. That was here. That was right here on that break. This was on, what was that? No, that was that the Grinchmas. This was earlier in December. Sorry. The Grinchmas was, no, I calls. Futures are easier. Yeah. Well, okay. Futures are not easier. Futures give you more control. Let's make sure that we kind of throw the word easy away because this is not easy. Okay. This never gets easier. Only you get better. Remember that always. Trading is never easy. You just get better. You get better, you get sloppier. If you don't really care, you're going to get sloppier. If you care and you put your time in, you practice your craft, it's going to get easier because you're getting better. That's all. Big drop and then bop back up. Yeah, possibly. If we're talking about now, again, we've kind of talked about the script. Again, that's something I'm going to talk about on that video kind of for the year. We're going to recap the year of 2023 together. I have a video doing that. That's going to be the signal video, kind of like recap 2023. It's a wonderful life type thing. We're going to go back from January all the way on, give my notes and context. That would be a really great way for the individuals, for everybody to see how we do our trading examples and such. That's one video. And then I have the 2024 year preview, kind of talk about everything, what I expect in the market and so on and so forth. So still got more content coming, guys. Very, very fun. But the last one we did was a top 10 stocks of 2024. I recapped the 2023 slightly, but I'll talk about that in more detail when we talk about the 2023 recap. So all that good stuff. It's a lot to do, and I love doing it. I got to send everyone the spreadsheets so everyone can take a look at it, but that'll be kind of a twofold project. You're going to have the video that goes up with the Excel sheet so we can have our homework together in class. Open book discussion. Morning, Carlos. How do you feel about the maintenance fee for QQQ for long-term investors? So understand QQQ is not actively managed. It's owned by Invesco, so it's kind of like the cost of doing business. It's the broker. SPY is also an ETF that you have to pay expense fees, but it's lower cost. For example, QQQ is a lot cheaper to own than ARKK, for example. If you do the triple leverage ETF, those are more expensive. Those are actively managed. So anything that's kind of like, just nothing happening, SPY, IWM, QQQ, the expense fees are very nominal, very, very small. They're not to the point that, oh my God, I'm losing a ton of capital. Again, you're paying for that vehicle, the diversification of the top 100 stocks in the NASDAQ. So you could buy them individually, pick the ones that you like. There's no expense fee there. But what you're paying for really is just diversification. And of course, Invesco has to, pay the bills. So that's just the cost of doing business. It's kind of like, a brokerage house with commissions. Free isn't always best. Cheap isn't always best. It's just really the person more than anything else. If you have preferences on what you pay and you don't pay, that's fair. And for some are just like, just give it to me, I don't care. Yeah, that's just how it goes. But I wouldn't put too much emphasis on the expense fee. Anything above, I would say 1% would be above 1% would be actively managed. You're talking like hedge fund stuff, those kind of deals. That's a little expensive. But again, if we're like in the point 0.2, 0.15, I think that's where SPY is, you're going to be fine. It's just the cost of doing business over time, Thomas. So that's where we are this morning. Got a ton of videos to do. So I'm looking forward to it. Again, I still have Citibank. I have a runner on Pfizer. So we'll see what we get moving forward. Let's make it a great Wednesday. I will catch you guys on the Discord server. If you are interested in joining our free live market blog, make sure to take a look at the description below. Join us. I'll be happy to see you guys there. Ask your questions. Let's make it a great 2024, and I will see you there. Cheers.